Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Holly, and today's video is a collaboration, and Fiona from Fiona in Her Kitchen had asked me to join in on this collaboration, which I was happy to do so. And it's for a March day in the kitchen, so it's just kind of taking just one day during March that showing what you do in the kitchen. So that's kind of what I'm doing in this one, just showing you what I've cooked in the kitchen for that day. And Fiona is a very sweet woman. She is married. She's from Ireland and has 3 young children. She loves to cook, and I love her recipes. I love her channel. She has great content. So please check her channel out and also check the playlist down below. But like I said, Fiona, I don't think you would be disappointed in her channel. She has great content. And I thoroughly enjoy watching her channel. So I'm going to show you now what I did for this video. So I hope that you enjoy it. And just come along with me, just what I did in the kitchen that day. And today is a Sunday, and I'm doing a brunch. We usually like to sleep in on Sundays, so this works out perfectly. And I usually just spray a pan with some nonstick spray, and then I'll put the bacon in that. That way it kind of stops it from sticking right away until it starts to make its own grease. And I will put this in the oven because it's just less mess and it's just so much easier to do. And this is a 12-ounce pack of bacon, and it worked perfectly because I was able to fit every single piece in at one time instead of having to do a separate batch. And that's why I like to do sometimes just a 12-ounce pack. But those work out great in the oven. And then once I have that getting ready, I usually like to do the mild sausage, the Tennessee Pride. I'll buy that and keep that in my freezer. But I had probably about 10 of those left, and I just decided it was time to just fry all of that up, and I'll replenish that in the freezer again. But yeah, we just fry those up and have that with the biscuits. And I also like to keep the Pillsbury Grands biscuits in my freezer. I always get that 20 pack, and I like these because you can just do one at a time or however many you want. I think there were 5 left in there, so I just decided to go ahead and finish that bag off. And then I'll replenish that along with the sausage. But I also have hash browns, and I started the hash browns earlier because we like them crispy. Now, while everything is in the oven and once it gets halfway cooked, I start mixing up my eggs, and I add a little heavy cream to it to make them fluffy, and some salt and pepper, and that's all I do. And once I am ready to start that, right before everything comes out of the oven, I just melt a little bit of butter in a pan and just scrambled up those eggs. And sometimes I'll make these with some onions in it, but since my husband was eating these, I left that out because he can take it or leave it, but I just decided just to do regular scrambled eggs. And then once those are done, this is what we had. And anything that's left over, we usually take with us the next day for breakfast on the go. So, and nothing gets wasted, but it helps me to get things out of my freezer. I also had some cantaloupe and some grapes cut up. That was in the refrigerator, and I forgot to take that out to put it with the other food to show you. But we ate a little bit of that. It just added a little bit more healthiness to that meal. And usually the rest of the day we snack on different things, but nothing that's really necessarily to show in the kitchen. But this is Monterey Chicken that I'm going to make for dinner. And I usually take the chicken breasts, especially when they're thick, and cut them in half, kind of butterfly it. But that way it cooks evenly and it's not so dry once you've finished cooking it. But I usually do that, and this is 3 chicken breasts that I'm using, and I'm just cutting this last one that I had, in half. And this is a really delicious recipe. I actually have a video on it that I made a year ago. I'll link that below if you want the exact ingredients as far as the measurements that I used, and if you want to check that out, you can. But this is about how they look once they're done, and all I do is just sprinkle a little bit of pepper on it. I don't put any salt or anything, just pepper, because you're going to add ingredients on top. And I like this recipe because it is easy and it is fairly quick to make. And Sundays I usually try to make it easier on myself in the kitchen, and for me this is an easy recipe, simple, doesn't take a long time. Other times I might have leftovers, it just depends. So every Sunday is a little bit different, and sometimes we might have takeout. It just depends on what's going on that weekend. And this is one of those recipes I already had planned on making for this weekend, and I like to use my Cuisinart grill for this, and I actually didn't pay anything for that. I actually got that free. We have a Ramey's grocery store, and you earn rewards points towards, you can either take money off of or get certain foods free when you buy it, or sometimes they have products and you can either use your points or you can buy it, or use some of your points and buy put some money towards it. But I had enough to buy the Cuisinart with just my points, so that was a great little find. And I try to keep my points just for those types of things, because you never know. They sometimes have some good products that they have, and when they're free they're even better. But I like to grill the chicken on there. This heats up pretty quickly, and depending on the size of the chicken, even after you've cut it, it still can be a little thick, will determine how long you keep it on the grill. And I like to cook it to where it's pretty much done, because you're not going to put this in the oven very long. You're just going to heat it through, so I like to make sure that chicken is cooked. And I also use 2 different tongs. I use one for the raw chicken and one for taking off the cooked chicken. I just don't like to cross-contaminate, even though I'm going to put it back in the oven. It makes me feel a little bit better doing it that way. You can also cook the chicken in a pan if you want, if you don't have a grill, and that's perfectly fine. I just find this cooks it a lot faster, especially when I want to have it done sort of quickly. Because once you put that lid down, it's cooking on both sides, and it doesn't take long at all. Whereas in a pan, it's just going to take you a little bit longer because you have to turn them over and everything. But this works out perfectly for me, and it's a great little grill to have. So maybe it could be on Amazon, Walmart. You can check those places for one. And I just spray a casserole dish and put the chicken breast in that, and you just need something big enough to put the chicken pieces. And then once you have that, all I do is add some barbecue sauce, and just use whatever your favorite is. It doesn't have to be that type, but very simple. And I just put a little bit in a bowl and then spoon it out on top. And you want to I like to make sure it's completely coated on top of the chicken, because this does add a lot of flavor to it depending on what type you use, but it does definitely add flavor to the chicken. And like I said, something very simple to do. And I'll just continue to do that. And Sundays, like I said, try not to be too fussy with stuff. because that's usually the day I'm doing laundry and things like that, getting ready for the week ahead. And I work outside the home, so that also, like I said, I like to just not have to spend as much time on the weekend in the kitchen, but I do get a good bit done. And I do like to put this Mexican cheese on top, and I just sprinkle it on to the whole chicken piece. And I believe the recipe originally calls for a fourth of a cup, but I always feel like it depends on the size of the chicken that you're using. It could be more and it could be less. So I just sprinkle it on until I get the desired coating that I like, because we do like cheese. So that's all I do. But you can definitely measure it out if you want. And once you've added the cheese on to it, then I'm going to add some Rotel tomatoes that have the green chilies in it, and that's the one I use. You can use the generic, but this is what I had in my pantry. And just get the can open, and that can opener does work really well. It's that glue that's onto those cans that's hard to get the lid off. But then just make sure you drain off all the juice that's in that can, and then you will just put some of the tomatoes on top. And I believe the original recipe called for a fourth of a cup of the tomatoes on top, but like I said, I'll leave the link below so that way you can get the complete recipe. But I just kind of put as much on it as I want, and that definitely adds a lot of flavor to this also. And I use bacon bits. You can use regular bacon if you want, but I like the real bacon bits for this. Just another simple step where I don't have to make any more, and just sprinkle that on top. It's already cooked for you. And just take some green onions and put those on top. And I usually use a lot more than what I have here, but I'm just using what I had left in my fridge. And for the sides, I like to have some potatoes. We're meat and potatoes kind of people, but I do add the potatoes to a pan, and they were frozen solid together, so I had to break them up. And once I did that, then I just added some olive oil to the top of them. And just make sure to toss those potatoes around to get into that olive oil. I did find they didn't crisp up as much as I would have liked when I did these in the oven. I don't know if it's because they were frozen, but the bag says to season with some salt and pepper. So I did do that because potatoes do need salt. And I felt like it needed a little bit more seasoning, so I added some veggie seasoning that Weber has, and that's a really good seasoning. And then I'm just going to have some steamed fresh broccoli and cauliflower for our vegetable, and that's quick and easy. Just pop that in the oven and then just put some butter on it. But you can see they're not quite as crispy as I don't know, that I would like. I think next time I think I just need to do regular potatoes, but I'm trying to not be so long in the kitchen. So for this particular Sunday, and this is what it looks like when it comes out, and it really is, all you do is put that in the oven just to melt down the cheese and to kind of get the chicken cooked through a little bit. But that's what it looks like. That's what we had for this particular dinner. And like I said, I like to have a little bit more green onions on my chicken, but because that adds a lot of flavor too. But I had just a few in my fridge, so that's what I used. And for dessert, we're going to have this Godiva molten lava cake. I've been wanting to try this particular one, and it makes up to 6 little cakes, but we're just going to have 2 of those, and that's a good bargain for this box because you can get up to 6. So it's enough for 3 desserts technically. And it comes with the little baking cups. And like I said, they're small, but they're pretty, for us, that's a decent little snack just to have in the evening. And each one of those packs will make 2 of those little lava cups. And it also shows it on the directions if you want it to make, it shows you how to make 2, 4, or 6 at a time. So it just depends on which ones you're doing. But we're just going to do the 2. And like I said, it's a good value. So if you have a large family, it's good. If you have 6 people or less, for that. Or like I said, if you just want to make the 2, then it kind of gives you a little extra in a way from one box. And with the way the prices of things going in the stores and everything going up, this I feel is a good value for a, just a little sweet treat. But all you need to do is melt, for the 2 cakes, just 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. You add one of those dry mix packs, and you just mix it really well until it's completely smooth. And then you microwave that for 20 seconds in the microwave. And then once that's done, you add 1 egg, and you just mix it really, really well. You want to incorporate that in there until you don't see the egg anymore and it's really smooth. And then just take the 2 little cups that you have and make sure that you spray them with some nonstick spray. And you just put equal parts into the little pans and put it in the oven on 400. And bake for about 11 to 13 minutes. I did those for 11 minutes. And they're very hot. You want to immediately put them onto the plate, turned over. And then I just use the tongs to remove those tins. And then I wanted to have some ice cream on top, so I had the little bitty container of Bluebell. So I put a large scoop of ice cream on each one, and it turned out really good. It was a nice little sweet treat to have at the end of the day. And you can see sort of the lava that flows out a little bit. But with the ice cream, it was really good. And in the evening, every evening, when it's going to be another work day, the evening before a work day, I usually fix my husband's lunch for the next day. And every day he takes 2 kiwis to work. If you've watched me long enough, you know when I've done grocery hauls and things like that, I've mentioned about the kiwis actually helping to lower triglycerides. And I will make a disclaimer that I am not a doctor whatsoever, but if you look it up on Google, it shows that kiwis and avocados actually help. Those are the 2 things that actually help to naturally lower triglycerides, and it has helped him a lot. So Monday through Friday, he will have 2 kiwis to take with him as part of his lunch, and we kind of look at it as it's another supplement to take. I know it could probably get daunting to eat the same thing sometimes, but knowing that it helps with that, it's worth it. And he doesn't mind, actually. So that's a good thing. And sometimes he works on Saturdays, but we just kind of give him a break on Saturday and Sunday. And so once I have those done, I will get the rest of his lunch together. And I had some chicken left, some chicken breast that was left. It was just plain chicken breast that I had cooked for a different meal. And I had just a little bit left, so I decided he likes chicken salad, so I went ahead and made just a small bowl, enough for 1 sandwich, because that's pretty much what it was enough for. And usually I would shred my chicken in the electric mixer, the stand mixer, but I didn't want to dirty up the stand mixer bowl or the paddle or anything, so I just decided just to take the time just to cut that up and shred it up a little bit just by hand, and it was fine. And I started doing that early enough in the evening. But once I get that in there, we like to have onions and celery in our chicken salad. So I just chopped up a little bit of that and put that in it. And does anyone else make their husband's lunches? I'm just curious. I just do that so that way I know that he's getting something usually healthy. And it's just easier for me to do it than for him. That's just how I've always done it. We've been married for almost 35 years, so I've just gotten used to it. I don't mind doing it, and it's just easy, I think, for me, just because I'm usually the one buying everything to go along with his lunches, for me just to go ahead and do it myself. I know others, their husbands probably fix their own. It just depends. But like I said, 35 years, I've gotten used to it. It's a habit. So just getting all the celery chopped up. And normally when I make a big bowl of this, I would probably chop my onions and the celery tongue-tied tonight, a little bit smaller. And usually before I add the mayonnaise to it, I like to mix everything in. So the onions, the celery, and I do add some sweet relish to it, and salt and pepper. I just feel like I can judge more of how much I'm putting in before I add the mayonnaise. And like I said, it'll be enough. I like to make sure when I make his sandwich for work, that it's a decent amount. And I do add just a little bit of salt and pepper, just to taste, not a lot. But I'll add just that sweet relish in, and it just adds something to the chicken salad. You can add dill relish if you want, but we like that sweet relish. And once that's all mixed in, then I'll add some of that mayonnaise to it. And I like to use the olive oil mayonnaise. I don't know if you've seen that one. Hellman's has, and Kraft has, I believe. It's just a little bit healthier, but I don't mind the taste. It's actually not bad. And the 15-grain, whole grain, Pepperidge Farm bread is what he usually takes. Also a little bit healthier than white bread or wheat bread. And I don't add anything to the bread because there's already mayonnaise in the chicken, and he prefers, when he has a chicken salad sandwich, just to eat it like that, without any extra mayonnaise or mustard or anything like that. So I try to make sure I have enough on there. He likes a pretty good size sandwich, and I had just a little tiny bit left, maybe a half a cup, and I'm just going to take that with me for work, and I'll just eat it just like that in a little container. But I usually just package his things up just in Ziploc bags or those little containers from Dollar Tree. So you can find a lot of good food containers if you take your lunch and stuff, but they're also good for leftovers if you have just a small amount. And he also takes just a few like almonds and walnuts with him, and these are good for just brain health and blood pressure, that type of thing. So it helps with that, and it's a healthy snack. So usually I take one of those little containers, and we'll just add, he likes the sliced almonds over the whole almonds. That's just his preference. And I usually just put almost a handful of the walnuts in there, and that's, like I said, a good healthy snack. And these are not salted or anything. Other times, like on the weekends, yes, he'll have salted peanuts or something like that. But I feel like if he's having healthy meals during the week, then the weekend you can kind of splurge a little bit. And he does take these veggie straws with him, and I usually buy the big bag, and it has the different flavors, so that way he's not having the same one all the time. And also had just a little bit of cantaloupe and the grapes. And then at the end of the evening, I just usually wipe down my counters, clean my kitchen, and just so that way when I come home from work the next day, it's just clean and I don't have to worry about having to do anything other than cook supper for that night, cook dinner. And this is the end of my March day in the kitchen. I hope that you enjoyed it. And don't forget to check out Fiona's channel, and hers is Fiona in her kitchen. And check the playlist down below. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in seeing more videos like it, please click that subscribe button and the notification bell, and that will notify you when I post new videos. Hope that everyone has a blessed day. God bless y'all.